My family consists of dad, mom, and a brother, all of whom are quite timid. Though reserved sounds nicer, they're actually shy and not good at asserting themselves. As a result, they often end up shortchanged. Ever since I was aware, I've seen my parents and brother like this and made sure not to end up like them, who I considered bad examples. So, I'm probably the most grounded and realistic in my family. I left home for college and have been living and working in another state since then. I only return home for Christmas and family gatherings, but I'm enjoying my life. One day, I got a call from Mom. "Mom, long time no see. How are you?" "Oh, Amanda, me and your dad are doing fine." Despite her words, I could tell from her voice she wasn't upbeat. "Mom, did you call for a reason? Is something wrong?" "Well, it's about Matthew." Matthew is my brother's name. As I mentioned earlier, he's the epitome of our family's traits. Gentle, indecisive, and laid back. He's a slow-paced but smart guy who works for a big company. I wondered what was up with Matthew. He's got a girlfriend, and they've decided to get married. "Oh, that's great news! Congratulations! But why do you sound so down then?" Mom sighed before explaining. "Ugh, she's pregnant, and it's a shotgun wedding. It's all been very rushed. We haven't even met her family yet. We've asked her to arrange a dinner together sometime soon." I understood why Mom was a bit down. For parents in their middle age, it must be shocking. It's a hurried marriage, and they haven't had a proper chance to interact with the other family, which worries Mom. But having a grandchild should be a joy for them. Well, it might be out of order, but it's your first grandchild, right? They'll surely be adorable. So embrace Matthew's new family. I'll prepare both a wedding and a baby gift. Yeah, you're right. Thanks, Amanda. That was the end of our call. Matthew can be a handful, but it's good that kind-hearted Matthew has found someone special. Moreover, for me, having an expanded family is something I'm truly happy about. I'll probably go back home next at Christmas. I'm looking forward to meeting my sister-in-law then. However, that year, I was too busy with work and personal matters to visit home. I decided to at least call home and apologize to sister-in-law over the phone. "Mom, how have things been?" "Amanda, it's been a while. Christmas must have been tough for you. Don't worry about us, just take your time to rest." Our home, well, it has changed quite a bit in many ways. Mom, who's already indecisive, was stuttering more than usual. Surely, something difficult to discuss has happened. Is it something hard to talk about at home? Then call me again when you're somewhere else. I'm home all day today. Yeah, I'll call you again when I go out for shopping. She hung up, and about an hour later, I received a call from Mom. "Amanda, you see, Matthew and his family are living with us now. And our house doesn't have many spare rooms, right? Sarah, Matthew's wife, really wanted a room to sleep in alone, so we cleared out your room for her to use. Sorry for doing that without asking. Our house is a single-family home, but it's just the right size for our family. It's somewhat unsuitable for accommodating Matthew and his wife." I thought, doesn't Matthew realize this? But Mom said that Matthew loves Sarah and is pretty much doing whatever she wants, overlooking her faults. "Can you tell me everything from the beginning?" When I asked, Mom hesitantly began to explain. According to her, Matthew and Sarah initially lived in Matthew's apartment. But Sarah had some noise disputes with the neighbors, leading to a falling out and eventually being asked to leave by the landlord. But that wasn't the only issue. Matthew and his wife were supposed to stay only for a few nights until they found a new place. However, Sarah grew comfortable, and as her pregnancy progressed and she couldn't do as much, she expressed her anxiety about being a first-time mother and asked to stay longer. Given their own experience, my parents found it hard to say no and agreed. Shouldn't you have said no at that point? I couldn't help but interject in the middle of Mom's story. Mom didn't deny my point, indicating she had her own reservations. I thought it was understandable given the difficulties of childbirth. But gradually, I started to think that the impression of her being straightforward was changing. Maybe she's just being selfish. When I asked what made her think that, it seemed to start with the room issue. Sarah said she couldn't sleep with other people's living noises around. She's tired every day with her big belly, and lack of sleep is a problem, so she wanted a room to herself. So that's why it was my room. Yes, she said if you weren't coming back soon, it would be a waste to just leave it empty. But we thought she'd leave after the birth, so as a temporary measure, we cleared out as much of your stuff as we could to make the room livable for Sarah. Probably that's what escalated her selfishness, and now you're stuck with it. That's right, exactly. What about Matthew? It's strange he doesn't say anything about Sarah being like this. Matthew just says she's on edge because of the pregnancy, or to be generous with her. But the baby is born, right? Shouldn't Matthew be getting serious about finding a place? Matthew's away on a long business trip now. He doesn't take childcare leave? Sarah said there's no need for him to take a break to care for the baby since we're here, so Matthew is working as usual. It's like she set things up to treat my parents like housekeepers. Should I say something? It involves my room after all. No, stop. If Sarah and you, Amanda, don't get along, it'll be tough for the grandchild, Daniel. Mom's fine, and so is Dad. Just listening to my complaints makes me happy. That ended the conversation with Mom. In the end, I only know Sarah by name. I don't know her face, voice, and she doesn't reach out to me. Seems she has no interest in someone like me. I thought I'd be happy to have a sister, but it doesn't seem like I'll be able to like her at all. Sometime after Christmas had passed, I called Mom. I was concerned about recent developments. Mom, how have things been lately? Oh, Amanda, actually... Mom shared an even more unbearable story than the last call. It seems Sarah is hardly doing any childcare. She says, mother-in-law is more experienced and a homemaker, so it's okay to leave it to her. And goes out to play with her friends or her own parents, leaving the baby with us. Sarah's parents, it seems, have barely had any real conversations with her. When Sarah wants them as a wallet for shopping, she calls them from Atlanta, drags them around, and then quickly sends them back once she's done. At times, she leaves Daniel for about a week to return to her parents' home or go on a trip. She seems even freer than before Daniel was born. Our house, but now everything revolves around Sarah. It feels so uncomfortable in our own home. She said she wants to throw a first birthday party for Daniel, and just thinking about how we'll be used again is already distressing. I doubt anything I say would matter since I haven't even talked to her. It's up to Matthew or you guys who are actually suffering. I said and hung up, but the next call came much sooner than usual. Rather, just a few days later. When I noticed the incoming call, I felt a bit scared. But when I answered, Mom surprisingly sounded cheerful, which caught me off guard. Amanda, you know, we kicked out Matthew, Sarah, and Daniel. What? From what you told me, she sounded like someone who wouldn't budge easily. Mom explains what led to them kicking out Matthew and his family. It all started with what Mom had feared about Daniel's first birthday party. Sarah, who hardly ever cared for Daniel, suddenly played the doting mother, saying, I want to celebrate his first birthday by inviting my parents, who rarely see Daniel. So, could you, mother-in-law and father-in-law, please leave the house for half a day? Mom thought to herself, at this rate, she'll take over our house. So, Dad and I said it. After using us for so long, not letting us be part of such an important birthday party is outrageous. We won't lend our house for the event, and they should leave immediately. We had them pack their things on the spot. It was the first time I shouted like that, and the first time I saw Dad so angry. That's incredible, Mom, you guys. Afterward, there was a lot of knocking and ringing, but we ignored it and they eventually stopped. So they must have found a place and are doing fine as a family of 3 now. Mom seemed utterly uninterested in Sarah after having kicked her out. But it must be sad not to see Daniel anymore. Well, yes. But with such a mother, as much as it pains me for Daniel, I don't want any involvement. Anyway, we've restored your room, so you can come back anytime. Well, I'm just glad you guys are feeling better. That's how the call ended. It was pleasant throughout. Not only has the house returned to normal, but Mom seems back to herself, which is a relief. Right after the call ended, I received a call from an unknown number. After ignoring it repeatedly, this same number kept calling, so I reluctantly answered. It was a woman's voice I didn't recognize, speaking rapidly. Amanda, this is Sarah, Matthew's wife. Your parents kicked me out, and I want you to talk to them for me. But I had no intention of taking seriously a call from someone I'd never met or spoken to. Who are you? How rude to call out of the blue like this. I just told you. I'm your sister-in-law, Sarah. Nice to meet you, but please help me. No, Sarah, that's just too unreasonable. Your attitude towards me is one thing, but treating my parents like housemaids? You're not my family. That's unacceptable. If you call again, I'll report you. And with that, I hung up. After that, Sarah never called again. I don't know what happened to the birthday party, but when Daniel turned 2, Matthew and Sarah got divorced. Matthew had a DNA test done because Daniel didn't resemble him at all. It turned out there was no biological relation, and upon confronting Sarah, it was revealed she was 2-timing Matthew with another man. Moreover, she had told her parents that she was married to this other man, introducing him as her husband when they met, not Matthew. Matthew was just conveniently used for his home and money. Enraged, he immediately divorced her. During the divorce proceedings, it came out that Sarah had lied to her own parents too, leading to a fallout. Now she's probably struggling alone with childcare, clueless and paying alimony. I heard all this when I visited my parents. As for Matthew, he wanted to return home after the divorce, but my parents refused. I agree with them. When they were suffering, Matthew did nothing. They've had enough, telling him to fend for himself and barely keeping in touch since. Peace has returned to my childhood home. It felt like a long ordeal. It's like brood parasitism, a terrible story. I said, and my parents just smiled wryly. Well, let's forget the past. But Amanda, I really want to see a grandchild truly related by blood. Isn't there someone for you? I can handle such questions over the phone, but face to face, I'm at a loss for words. The weight of expectation seems heavier after Matthew's marriage disaster. I don't know where he is now, but I feel like finding him and giving him a piece of my mind.